Now we're going to finish Manaḥ-śikṣā and with verse 12. And let's read the Sanskrit responsively. Manaḥ-śikṣā daśaka varam etam madhuraya. That's another thing, is when devotees practice memorizing shlokas, they become adept at Sanskrit. Adept, not meaning that you become a Sanskrit scholar, at least you can pronounce Sanskrit verses. And it isn't a difficult thing, because at least for most languages, it's the very synonymous pronunciations. Manaḥ-śikṣā daśaka varam etam madhuraya. Gira gayat uchar samadhi gata sarvartra tatija. Sayuta Shri Rūpa Nuga iha bhavan gokulavane. Jano Radha Kṛṣṇa tula bhajana ratnam salabhate. That said, people nowadays are not necessarily so adept at even reading their own language, their mother language, mother tongue, because people don't read. They watch things and they have everything visually, explicitly put out before them, but they're not in the practice of reading. And so, sometimes when I have devotees read aloud in English, English devotees, I thought they were back in grade school or something. A person who stays with devotees, follows Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī, and with a sweet voice sings aloud these 11 excellent instructions to the mind, which grant all spiritual benedictions, will attain the matchless jewel of direct service to Sri Śivarāma Kṛṣṇa in the forest of Gokula. So here is the stuti, means verse or prayer, and here is phal, the prayer which describes the fruit of recitation. Here, Raghunātha Gosvāmī doesn't say that these verses should be chanted on a daily basis. I'm just looking at the word for word. Sings aloud, says sings aloud. Uchai means aloud. If you just sing, I would expect in some kind of regular way, systematic way, devotees incorporate it into their sadhana. I'll use the word bhajana. If I use the word sadhana, then generally we tend to think of some morning program. But bhajana means, what is my systematic program for worshipping Kṛṣṇa, for my own spiritual advancement. So devotees will do, organize how they read and what they read. I'm reading at least an hour a day, preferably more if possible. And of course the priorities are Srila Prabhupada's books, but once a devotee feels like he has a good grasp of Prabhupada's teachings, then now I'm just saying a hypothetical version, then on one side, say I'm spending half my time reading Prabhupada's books and half my time reading books of the Acharyas, Stavavali, Stavamala, so many beautiful books or songs, or collections of songs that are meant for us. Where was that? Western. I was just reading again. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, at the time in chapter Advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's Kaviraj Goswami describes different devotees who took birth in different places. Some took birth in Navadvip, some took birth in Shantipur, others, he said, that in a place where the Ganges doesn't flow, others took birth in Western countries. Of course, Western countries can mean west of India, but Western countries can also mean the rest of the world. And just today or yesterday, I was searching through, and there was this other reference also to devotees being in Western countries. And so these, Kṛṣṇa says, Matasmitir, he says, Bhavishyani cha bhutani mamtu vedana Kṛṣṇa. Bhavishyani cha bhutani mamtu vedana Kṛṣṇa. The past, present, and future. Kṛṣṇa knows past, present, and future. Similarly, great acharyas, if they want, or they can also see, whether they're not seeing past, present, and future like Kṛṣṇa, but they also see events of the past and of the future as it relates to them, to their mission and so on. So you have many examples in Mahabharata, Ramayana of kings in the Bhagavatam, of kings being unable to have progeny, and some sage comes and he says, in your last life you did such and such, and for that reason you cannot have a child now, or you're having such difficulty, therefore you should perform this sacrifice to overcome that obstacle. So they can see Trikalagya, they see past, present, and future. And our acharyas also see past, present, and future. Vyasadeva also, Anartho Pashamam Sakshad Bhakti Yoga Radhoksaji Yog Lokasya Jadna Vidva Chakre Satvata Samhita. So Vyasadeva also, Bhagavatam, it's described that he had a vision. He had vision not only of Kṛṣṇa, Krishna's potencies and Krishna's energies, but he also had the whole vision of Kali Yuga. And, about Kali Yuga, maybe it was Yamunacharya, or something about devotees in Kali Yuga, that there will be many Vaiṣṇavas in the West.
Alvar's mentioned a lot also this.
Yeah, I think that's where it was. It was Yamunacharya's prayer that Vaishnavas will take birth in the West. So it's for us, not just us, but it's for us as well. So here the first thing is that a person who stays with the devotees. So keeping the association of Vaishnavas. In Prabhupada Lilamrita, when Srila Prabhupada lived in his godbrother's temples at different times in Delhi, he was also doing that. And his godbrother asked him to keep peace amongst the devotees, and it's described there how Srila Prabhupada would regularly preach to the young devotees, keep them from fighting, and so many other things. I'm just making a point that he who stays with devotees, staying with devotees is not always as easy as it's written down to stay with devotees. Sometimes staying with the devotees becomes a problem or becomes problematic because not the Chanishu Bhaktishu, because a certain class of devotees just does not know how to interact with Vaishnavas. And that means doesn't know how to interact with any Vaishnavas, whether it be superiors or gurus or younger devotees. And in a movement where many devotees are recently joined, relatively recently joined, where they haven't come from a Vaishnava background. So many of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples came either from Vaishnava background or a pious background or a Brahmin background. So I take it from most of us, neither of us came from a Vaishnava background. We didn't come from a pious background, well, except for some with Gurukul children, and we didn't come from Brahminical background. And even if we came from a Vaishnava background, it didn't necessarily mean that it was Brahminical. So therefore, there's a natural risk of devotee association not being ideal. That was part of, say, Raghunātha Swami Maharaj's mission is try to work on devotee training, devotee care, and to make the association and the company of Vaishnavas the association of Madhyamadhikaris. Right in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says that Vaishnavas should elevate themselves from the Kṛṣṇa platform to the Madhyam platform, because Kṛṣṇa platform is not a safe place to be. It's not safe for the individual, it's not safe for others. It's a place where Bhagavatam says, not the Chanishu Bhaktishu, where you don't know how to deal, how to interact, and to some degree, it's something that is washed off in society. The way of offering respect, sadachar, the practice of culture, which is really the Caitanya Mahaprabhu says the ornament of a Vaishnava. That's something that is lacking in many ways, because for instance, here on our Mayapur campus, unless you get off this campus, you're not in India. as long as you stay here, you're in the West. You're in Mayapur, that's one thing. But from the point of view of understanding what Indian culture is, which is the closest thing to a Vaishnava culture, or at least a good foundation for it, and to really know how to interact nicely. It's a very insular, that's what it's called, it's a very insular atmosphere in which devotees can come here, say from a foreign country, and after 10 years, they neither speak English, they neither speak Bengali. Why? Because they're insulated. They're insulated. So, staying with devotees. Therefore, staying with the devotees should be, in one sense, selective. We have the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada's vision for that society was grandiose. He wanted a society of pure devotees. On the other hand, sometimes when others would complain about disciples, Prabhupada would say, what can I do? All my disciples are third-class people. All my disciples are 10th-class people. So you choose the number, Prabhupada said it. And must have been very difficult for Srila Prabhupada. I mean, he was at least used to associating with his godbrothers, even if they didn't see eye to eye, but at least they knew how to behave. And they knew their culture, they knew where they were coming from, and they knew where they were going. So staying with the devotees, at least we should select those devotees, those who are more advanced than us, those who are equally advanced, and associate with them nicely. So that's what staying with devotees. And now we've gone through this before, and who follows Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī. I've never said that. All my disciples are 10th class people because I'm 10th class. So if they're 10th class after the 10th class, that means 10 times 10 is 100. That's not particularly true. But it's a fact. Sometimes it's not inspirational. I know that if I think about, Hungary was a place where we started from scratch to where we are now. If you asked me 30 years ago, is this what you want? I would say no way. At least in terms of the picture of how devotees behave, how they talk, how they interact. I envisage something a little more, or much more devotionally cultured. So, and that we're following Rūpa Gosvāmī. Following Rūpa Gosvāmī, of course, how do we follow Rūpa Gosvāmī? Well, we talked about being Rūpa Nugas, but nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Read it, know it, and follow it. Once again, there you have the 64 limbs of devotional service. Now, how are we following these 64 limbs of devotional service? And do we tick them off when we read them? In other words, yes, this is part of my daily practice and I do this, or this is something I don't do and I should also do this and I concentrate on that. So it means following Rūpa Gosvāmī. Rūpa Gosvāmī has given the path. and that path is in his teachings, how to execute devotional service. And devotional service means how to practice sadhana bhakti. With a sweet voice, madhuraya gira. So Gayati, with a sweet voice, one sings aloud. So sweet voice means one's taking great pleasure in something. This isn't punishment. This isn't something that's some drudgery, something that I'm, going through mechanically because I took a vow that I'm going to do this. But with a sweet voice, sings aloud these 11 excellent instructions to the mind. So he says, I'm just looking for whether he actually says, singing, samadhita, sarva, artha, expansion. Oh, Atula. Kṛṣṇa, no, Kṛṣṇa. No, it doesn't say, he doesn't say excellent, but sings aloud these 11 excellent instructions to the mind, but they are excellent. And they are, if it's instructions to the mind, then what do you do with an instruction to the mind? Then it's something that you contemplate, you meditate on. Because it's with the mind that you actually contemplate and meditate, and the use of the intelligence. And by doing that, then you influence. We influence our nature, we influence our svabhav by what we hear and what we see. So if we hear and see good instructions, then that can gradually become second nature. So that's why this practice of repetition, many of these Phala-stutis say every day, on a daily basis. Why daily? Say the same thing over and over again. Because if you want to beat something into your mind, then you have to do it over and over and over again. Because we're not, entangled in Kali Yuga because we performed one sinful activity. We've done it over and over and over and over and over. And that leaves a very deep impression. So similarly here, we want to make a good impression. And impression really is when you step in the mud of the jalangi and you leave an impression of your foot. So same thing, you want to leave a good impression. So with a sweet voice, singing these 11 excellent instructions to the mind on a regular basis will grant all spiritual benedictions. What is all spiritual benediction? All of the benedictions that you've read about in these 11 verses, they will all come to pass. It's partly the potency of the author who has imbued within his words, and the words can be translated. His words translate also. So when we translate from Sanskrit to English, Raghunātha Gosvāmī wrote it in Sanskrit, but if it's properly translated, then the English will also be Raghunātha Gosvāmī. So it will have the same potency. So the potency comes across. It's like you take a when they make casts of something, box, then they make master mold out of wood, and they press it into sand. And then they will pour the metal into the sand. So here is a sand mold, and it makes something that's a metal mold, but both are the same, even though they're of different substance. So even though different language, the empowerment will come across, and that empowerment will inspire us. It isn't that just by reading what's here, because it's not about reading, it's about doing what you're reading. Because Raghunātha Gosvāmī keeps saying things. He says, in order to attain direct service, surrounded by their friends, every day, drink with Rūpa Gosvāmī the 5 nectars of worshipping and chanting. So these are things to do. So if we read and we do these activities on the strength of both the promise of the Acharya as well as the empowerment of the Acharya, then yes, in due course of time, it will come. All these spiritual benedictions will come. And which grant all spiritual benedictions and will attain the matchless jewel of direct service to Radha Krishna in the forest of Goloka. It's difficult. Everything for us is very difficult. And there are incomparable things that our devotees of today do or perform that have never been done before. I'm saying that to sort of balance off a little the sort of critique that I spoke before. I was writing to the some of the Sankirtan ladies, especially. I said that never in Vaishnava history have women done what they do in order to spread Krishna consciousness. They've never gone out amongst karmis and stand in, now it's cold, this is December, stand in Western countries in cold weather to be abused and so on, in order to convince other people to take Srila Prabhupada's books, to take Bhagavatams, the Bhagavad Gita, to actually take in some cases, a set of Bhagavatams right on the street. Pretty empowered. So, and that's one way of staying empowered. Go out on Sankirtan and never come back. Because the risk of coming back is maybe that we go into another space, but when you're out there, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Tara Shakshi Jagai Madai. He empowered even Jagai Madai. So, but what to speak of us? At least they were from Brahmin families. So, yes, that we should, to get this matchless jewel, yes, I was saying that where we came from, which we talked about, our fortune is very unique, very extraordinary, especially for those who are sort of newcomers to devotional service, meaning newcomers perhaps in this life, is that we're coming from a really the lowest place, and we want to go now to the highest place. And This has only happened by one thing, and that is by the association of a pure devotee, by the association of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada brought something, and this is the same empowerment that we find within these verses, just by Srila Prabhupada's personal association and his teachings and his sound vibration. Devotees now are thinking of going back home, back to Godhead. First of all, we never heard of such a thing as going to Godhead. Closest came to it was heaven. And just to discover later on that the heavenly planets are not heaven, that they're also part of material place, material world, angels. We want to go to this Goloka Vrindavan, and we want to serve Radha and Krishna. So this is like a super extraordinary destination and plan. And then Prabhupada, of course, said that, well, half my disciples want to go to the heavenly planets. In other words, that not everybody necessarily wants to go. And then of the other 50% who want to go, Manusham Sahasreshu, how many are successful? But ultimately, if you really want to go, with Caitanya Mahaprabhu on your side, you've got a good, he really tips the scales. So then you have a really good chance, a good opportunity. So we should really try to appreciate. These are Raghunātha Gosvāmī's teachings to the mind. They are Manaḥ-śikṣā, and I'm just going to quickly read. He also teaches us how to take vows. So he has a Sva-niyama-daśaka, and Thakur Bhaktivinoda also has a Sva-niyama-daśaka. These are 10 vows. So devotees take vows. I'm going to do this. And these vows may be a certain practice, it may be a daily activity, it may be an attitude or a frame of mind. Guru Mantri Namni Prabhupara is very similar. I vow I shall love my spiritual master, the Gayatri mantra, the holy name of Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's feet, Srila Swarup Damodar Gosvāmī, Rūpa Gosvāmī, his associates, his elder brother, Govardhan Hill, Radhakund, Mathura city, Vrindavan forest, the land of Braj, the devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa and the residents of Braj. So Guru Goshte Goshtalayashu, this is just the flip side. He's now taking a vow to do that. They're not all like this. I vow that I shall live in the land of Braj birth after birth, chatting casually with the villagers. I shall not live even for a moment in any other place, even if the Lord resides there in his deity form, and even if the great devotees fill it with the sweet nectar of transcendental love. Even though I suffer in long separation from the divine couple, I shall not, even for a moment, leave the land of Braj, where Śivarāma Kṛṣṇa eternally enjoy unparalleled transcendental pastimes, and I shall not, even if he himself invites me, go to see the opulent king of the Yadus in Dwarka. Even if Krishna and Dwarka says, come, he says, I'm not going. But if with my own ears I heard, Radha has gone to Dwarka, where Lord Hari passionately embraces her to his chest, with an excited heart I would leave Brajapur and fly there faster than Garuda. But if Radharani is in Dwarka, then I'll go. Beginningless or with a beginning, cruel or very gentle, merciful at every moment or merciless, greater than the king of Mahavaikuntha, or an ordinary human being, the son of Braja's king is my Lord, birth after birth. This is a good verse to remember. Anadir sadir vapaturitam vidur va pratipada. I used to know it. Beginningless or with a beginning. Whether he's cruel or very gentle. Whether he's merciful or whether he's merciless. Whether he's greater than Mahavishnu or even if he's an ordinary human being. The son of Braja's king is my Lord, birth after birth. Not for a moment shall I go near a hypocrite who worships only Lord Govinda, as does not worship exalted Śrīmati Radharani, who is glorified by the Vedas and the great sages headed by Narada, and who is most dear to Lord Kṛṣṇa. This is my vow. Someone may worship Kṛṣṇa, and that's okay, I don't care for him if they don't worship Radharani. I shall wash the lotus feet of anyone in this world who bowed down with love, worships Lord Kṛṣṇa and the nectarian person who bears the name Radha. I drink that water, and every day I carry that water on my head. Abandoned by my dear friends, unintelligent, blind, and drowning in an ocean of pain, I bite a blade of straw with my teeth and beg, O Śrīmati Radharani, please lead me to your lotus feet. My food a little of Braja's milk, my home a leaf hut, and my actions honest austerity and scripture study. I shall live at Radhakund by the best of mountains, and I shall die at that dear lake in the company of Sri Jiva Gosvāmī and the other devotees. In a secluded place in Vrindavan forest, following my dear friend Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī, in many ways I shall earnestly worship Sri Kṛṣṇa, who is more splendid than many cupids, and Śrīmati Radharani, whose glorious beauty defeats many goddesses of fortune. A faithful devotee who reads these 10 vows of a certain author and who fixes his mind on the transcendental forms of the dear divine couple at the proper time happily attains the realm of Braj and directly worships Sri Śivarāma and Kṛṣṇa. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Dāsa Gosvāmī ki jai, Sri Śivarāma Damodar ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi.